Does this mean that a strata can have a year end other than the 30th of June, an AGM in a designated time thereafter if they seek to have an alternate date by amending their bylaw with an alternate year end date?
Well, it's an interesting little inclusion into the Act that was never there before. I would question the motives of why it was put in the first place. It comes under financial year end date, and it's in this little spot down here under financial year end. And it says, if the strata scheme bylaws are silent on the matter, the period of 12 months ending on the 30th of June. So the financial year end means that's going to end on the 30th of June, or if the scheme bylaws specify a period of 12 months ending on a different date as a financial year for the strata scheme. So without anyone knowing, now you have to do something. But I'll get back to the disjointedness of this Act. It's not cohesive in that you have to look at the regulations again, and under regulation 175, subclause 3, during the 5-year transitional period. So there is a transitional period for requiring you to do something about this. Otherwise, after 5 years, if you do nothing, your financial year end date is required to be the 30th of June, unless you have changed it by registering a bylaw. So a strata company that under sub-regulation 2B or C uses or chooses to use as its financial year a period of 12 months ending on a different date from the 30th of June may make a bylaw that specifies that period as to its financial year. Subclause 4, such a bylaw has effect for the purpose of the definition of financial year of the strata company as inserted by the 2018 Amending Act, as if it is made, and here's one of these peculiarities, as if it is made by an ordinary resolution of the strata company and it is taken to be a governance bylaw. So the rules of passing a governance bylaw say that they have to be passed by resolution without dissent. But here you have part of the legislation allowing an ordinary resolution to be passed to allow bylaw to be registered to change the financial year end date to whatever date, the 30th of May, the 30th of April, or the 1st of December. So the curious thing is, why was this section put in the Act in the first place? And in effect, it's operating as a compulsory method of getting people to do a consolidation of bylaws if their scheme's registered before the 1st of May 2020. So it puts an impost on people to have to do something to do a consolidation of bylaws and change their financial year end date, which probably no one ever expected anything like that to be put in the Act, but it's the implications of it, and you've just got to deal with it.
So with them giving the 5-year time frame to do that within, Shane, would you expect it would be better to do that sooner rather than later, or? Look,
they can sit on it and for as long as they want, but eventually it'll catch up with them at the end of the 5 years grace period, or they refer to it as, they've referred to it as the 5-year transitional period. And when you look at regulation 172, it has a number of different periods defined and all having different time periods. So you can have a 4-year transitional period, or a 5-year transitional period, a 6-month grace period. So there are different parts of the Act and the regs that require these different periods with different time limits, things to be met. So qualification of strata managers is a 4-year period, so as from the 1st of May. So they can leave it and end up changing their financial year end date to the 30th of June. for strata schemes that are run as commercial enterprises. It suits them in some instances. It suits them to have a financial year end on the 30th of June, whereas for everybody else, it's a nuisance, especially for strata management companies, because generally the financial year end date means that's when we've got to have an AGM, and you wouldn't be able to find a function room, convention centre or whatever, especially with the COVID restrictions, limiting the number of people to attend an area, to have a general meeting either on or near in June, July. You wouldn't find a venue available in Perth. It was empty. They'd all be booked out. And large strata management companies would be, could possibly be holding 100, 200, 500 AGMs in a 2-month period. And it's a real inconvenience for anyone that's in that position.
Okay. And then with regard to the transitional periods, I believe that Landgate has a fact sheet that they've summarised all of those transition periods into. So we'll include the fact sheet, a link to the fact sheet in this the article below this video as well.